Let's go make this waist apron, but first, always remember to share this so it was saved to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. So I started with a piece of fabric, 18 inches wide and 30 inches long. Now this is actually a piece of looks like a table runner or tablecloth that I bought back at Valentine's Day, but I love the fabric and I knew I was gonna do something with it. I just wasn't sure what. One side of it, because of the way that I cut it, is still hemmed. This side and this side, so the bottom and this right side needs to be hemmed. So we're going to take the other short side. One short side is already hemmed, so we're just talking about the other short side. Lay our fabric pretty side down, and we're going to fold it over about 1/4 inch, iron that, and then fold it over again, and then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. This is my ironing situation. Heat resistant pad, wool mat, Oliso Mini Pro 3 iron, all linked in my Walmart and Amazon storefronts if you're looking for them. Now I use a small iron here when I'm sewing with y'all, and then I have a large iron at the ironing board. And I'm folding this over and over again. If you have a serger, you can serge it. If you want to fold it over just one time and zigzag it, that would be perfectly fine too. And then I'm going to do the same thing on one of the long sides. I've decided this is the bottom because it's the way that my hearts go. Do you see that? The hearts are facing up, so I want this to be the bottom. So I'm going to come and fold it in half. Fold it over about 1/2 inch and iron it, and then fold it over again about 1/2 inch and iron it. We're just trying to get rid of the raw edge, but I'm not lining the back of it because I think the back's really pretty actually, and it's from this tablecloth, so it's like woven, but you could absolutely line it, and if you lined it, you wouldn't need to hem this because you would sew it pretty side to pretty side, turn it right side out, and then you wouldn't have a raw edge. I've ironed it. I'm just gonna go and sew down this side and down the bottom, down one short side and the longest side. And I'm gonna sew this with a straight stitch, and I'm going to sew closer to the edge like a top stitch. I like for mine to look like it's about to fall off, but you only sew as close as you're comfortable. And yes, we are back stitching when we start and when we stop because my grandma said so. I'm making this with a piece of a tablecloth that I bought at Home Goods that was so cute. I knew I needed to do something with it, but you could make this with regular fabric. Either lay 2 pieces of fabric pretty side to pretty side, sew them on 3 sides, turn them right side out and top stitch, or make sure that you hem the 3 sides of your regular fabric. You just don't want a raw edge. Okay, we've hemmed our apron. Now let's make our waist straps. So I have 2 pieces of fabric that are the width of the bolt and 7 inches wide. And by the width of the bolt, I mean, if you see WOF, that means width of fabric. So let's pretend I cut this from one of these bolts, and I would just have cut straight down. Now I'm gonna lay them pretty side to pretty side, just like this, and I'm gonna sew this short side so that I have one really long piece. So you have basically a 7 inch by 88 inch strap. Now I've sewn this. I'm gonna cut the selvage off. I probably should have cut it off before, but I was too excited, so I didn't. Here's my apron. Here is the front of my apron. I wanna find the raw edge, fold it in half, and find the center, okay? I know where the center of this is because it has a seam. So I'm gonna fold it in half and find the center on it. Now I'm gonna put the 2 center pieces together. After I found the center on both pieces, I'm going to open it up and lay my strap all the way down, just like this. And I'm gonna clip it to make sure that it doesn't move. So now I'm gonna sew just the strap, just to the apron. I'm gonna start here, just sew on this one side. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so. This is so easy to do, super fun. And if you didn't want to make your strap, you could just use wide or bias tape. I've made so many with wide bias tape. So now this is what you have. So you're gonna come to one end, you're gonna fold your strap in half long ways like this, and you're gonna come all the way back to where your apron starts, right here. And you're gonna sew from here down and then across. So you're gonna sew this and all of this. And then you're gonna do the other end the same way. straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so. Aprons are the absolute most fun to make and the most practical gift too, and you can never have too many. It's kind of like the best thing ever. My little ladies have a million aprons, but I always forget to put their aprons on them when they're actually cooking. And I have a million aprons, but I don't love to cook, so there's that. But at least when I do cook, I have a cute apron. Now we're going to turn our straps right side out. After we turn them right side out, we're going to poke out our corners. Fingers, chopstick, handy dandy tool. Do not use your scissors. It's a terrible idea. You'll be crying because you have a hole. I'll be crying because you didn't listen to me. And everybody's crying. Let's just don't do that. Okay, I've started ironing at one end. I've ironed until I've met my apron. And you know, this is not sewn down. So as I iron this flat, I'm going to fold this under about 1/4 inch and iron it down so that we can sew that together in just 1 second. And I'm going to iron until I get to the other end of my strap. Okay, so we've ironed it. I've ironed this down about 1/4 inch, and I've ironed all the way out both sides of my straps. So now what I'm going to do is go and top stitch. I'm going to top stitch down through here all the way to the end of the strap, come back to the end of that strap, and come back here. I'm starting on this side that's not connected because I think it'll make it easier. Now a top stitch is just a straight stitch sewn a little closer to the edge. I like for mine to look like it's about to fall off, but you only sew as close as you're comfortable. Back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so. If I were making this 20 years ago, I would sew this piece shut and go on about my business. But I'm telling y'all, years of experience have taught me that top stitching really does make a difference. It makes everything look super nice. It does take an extra few minutes, but I promise if you do it, you'll be glad you did. And it makes it so much better when you wash it, because then it keeps its shape. And if you don't top stitch, it doesn't. Ask me how I know. So cute. So cute. And so practical. I love a good, practical, easy something, and this is it. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.